War II, superpowers have dominated international politics. This is a series of short films examining what the very building blocks of these global powers actually are. If a country's going to be a superpower, it needs nuclear weapons, but in themselves they're not quite sufficient. The USA, Russia, China and India are all nuclear powers, but so too are the UK, France, Pakistan, and though nobody likes to talk about it, Israel. We should also have a look at the size of the world's armies, which is where you start to get a very interesting flavour of the global balance of power. China is at the top with over 2 million full-time soldiers. The USA comes in next with 1.5 million. India has 1.3 million, and Russia is pretty much level with North Korea at just over 1 million personnel. One figure in particular is mind-boggling. The USA accounts for nearly half the entire world's military expenditure. Last year, its annual official budget stood at around $450 billion. What that means is not just a matter of simple armed force, it also guarantees that the USA is at the cutting edge of military technology. It's also meant to ensure that in the event of any war, no matter how big the conflict is, America will achieve what military experts call full-spectrum dominance, effective control of land, air, sea and space, and cyberspace. The problem with that doctrine, as recent events in Iraq and Afghanistan have proved, is that it rather overlooks the problem of asymmetrical warfare with what used to be called guerrilla forces. But that's another story. In terms of military spend, making reliable comparisons with other countries is pretty difficult because so many of the figures are in dispute. But it's safe to say that China comes close to being the world's second biggest military spender, with what the Americans estimate is around 20% of the USA's figure. Russia comes in much lower at just under 10%, while India's spend is smaller still, at about 6% of the American total. The important thing, though, is that all three are now locked into big spending increases. China has been putting up its defence spending by at least 10% a year for the last 20 years. Here, though, is perhaps the most interesting number of all. At the last count, adding together the defence budgets of countries in the European Union would produce a figure of nearly $300 billion, nearly 3/4 of what the US spends. The only thing is, the EU doesn't have a common foreign and defence policy. Not yet, anyway.